Hey, what's up, everybody? Wagey checking in for another court chat. Just got done getting it in. Had a kind of a wavy ride this week. And just wanted to go over some things I've been discussing with some of my mentors and cohorts, as far as cost of things. And, essentially you can afford it. It's just a choice on whether or not you're down to pay for it. And then, I'll talk to you a little bit about my wavy week and kind of riding those waves and some things that I do to get away from, anxiety or something like that. So, again, on cost, there's a lot of talk about, I pay attention to the manosphere. I listen to the things that, just news on things that people go through. The discussion is a lot about, women cost, but for me, it's such a broader topic than that, because it's like, well, everything costs. It's just whether or not you're down to foot the bill for it. It costs to have self-discipline to go to the gym. You have to make sure that you're hydrated. You have to commit mental bandwidth to the discipline of maintaining that workout schedule. You have to commit to your sets and pay the cost to go through the pain to endure the muscle growth and development. It costs to get up and go get a drink of water. If your mind and your body aren't aligned, you won't have the firing capacity to link those things together to get you off of your butt to go get the drink of water. It's gonna cost to make money. You have to sacrifice some of your time, probably doing something that you might not appreciate, so that you can generate income to buy things that you want. Man, it costs to have a healthy diet, because you're gonna have to sacrifice and forego some of those sweet, delicious, tasty things so that you can maintain a physique that you might want to find goal setting and appeasing for yourself. Women do cost, yes, it costs to entertain anybody in your livelihood though, It could be a friend, a family member, an intimate partner. It could be some random stranger that you didn't know that you were going to have an interaction with that might have a detrimental cost. If you're not paying attention to how you're guiding your interactions and what you're actually after and conveying your intentions versus trying to manipulate and get things at a discounted or cheaper rate. It costs, man. Everything's got a cost associated with it, whether that be direct or indirect. And then as a person, if you're seeking to develop and cultivate any kind of relationship that you benefit from, again, my mentality, my mindset is I'm down to pay the cost. I naturally emit and exude benefit. I exude that abundance. I put out so much that, I'm paying costs kind of wherever I go. And then I have to keep track of things that I don't want necessarily gravitating into my orbit, because that's how consolidated I am in on myself. I've condensed and crunched the many different hats that I could be wearing into me, Wagey, and I have this hat on, and maybe I dial it up to 5 to 7, maybe 9, depending on the situation, but it's all this, it's all me. I don't have 10 different hats to wear. This is me, and depending on what situation that I'm in, I'll adjust the specs accordingly, and then I have to, or I get to rather consolidate those costs, because it costs to change from one person to another. That's a huge cost to incur, because you're gonna have to give up that person that you were in order to become the person that you want to be. That's a cost that a lot of people won't incur. They'll sit and complain about where they're at rather than taking on and incurring the cost to change and affect their situation in a positive light. It all costs, man. Once you're paying into yourself, things will gravitate for you, where it might not be that much of an expense to allow somebody to come into your life. But if you're not paying attention to how you're allowing that person into your life, they can come in and they can wreck shop. And then you'll pay a whole different cost because you didn't pay attention. Everything costs, player. But, they say, what is it? They pay the cost to be the boss. Everybody wants to be the boss, but nobody wants to pay the effort. Nobody wants to pay attention. Nobody wants to put into themselves to really achieve those objectives. Isn't that weird? It's crazy, isn't it? It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's bigger than that. If you want to be a humorous person, pay the cost. Maybe put yourself in some circles where comedy is present, or, just take advantage of maybe even picking up a job. Like I said, anything doing customer service oriented where you're interacting with people and, use those interactions to try and find silver linings and help mitigate those situations. Make them a little bit brighter and lighter. Pay that cost. You can get paid while you're paying costs. I get paid to socialize. Ta-da! Paid the cost. I learned to communicate. A lot. It took a long time. Through the midst of strife and turmoil. Find silver lining. I have pretty decent timing in regards to things. I get to enjoy my life. I get to be humorous. I paid the cost. And I continue to do so. You see all this stuff. I got a bald head. I paid the cost. I put into me. And I'll continue to do so because I know I'm worth the rewards and I'm going to reap all of it. I exude value. That's what it is. I put out so much value. To some it might be greater than others. That's cool. But it doesn't mean that it's irrelevant. So that's something that I chose to do for myself. It just shows up in all facets of my life. And again, once I chose to condense and really consolidate on me and be proud of who I've become, man, all the endeavors of my life have kind of taken off and continues to get better. My body's taking shape, my mind is taking shape. Speaking of that, like I said, I had a kind of wavy ride this week. I had a situation that was kind of unexpected for me. I didn't really see it coming, and it caught my mind off guard. But shout out to the Psych Hacks of Ryan Tower Band. I took that opportunity to embrace the weights that the mental gym has chosen to set in front of me, and I started lifting. I started working out. There was points in this week where I was actually searching through my phone, maybe looking for something on some kind of level of anxiety. And I had to first acknowledge that I was doing that. When I'm talking to one of my coaches and mentors, I'm going over things that I'm actually doing, and then I'm discussing what my thought process is in regards to a solution. So I'm discussing helping myself. So for anybody who's trying to willingly help me, they would have an insight at least on where I'm starting and willing to do for myself, so that they're not having to kick over all of that burden. But anyway, so again, I'm looking through my phone. I am seeking ways to kind of escape a little bit of anxiety. But the answer's not in my phone. I needed to put my phone down. I needed to get my phone out of my reach, because that's what's associating kind of that anxiety there, right? So what I do, I put the phone down, and I did something I haven't done in a while. I picked up a book. What that helped me do was slow down the pace of the thoughts that are processing up here at a pace that I could read one line at a time. And then not only that, it took me out of this headspace from the things that I was thinking about that I couldn't control to this slow line by line subject matter, and filled that space. And it brought me to a neutral spot. And that helped me overcome that burden. I also got back into writing, identifying what's going on. So again, that helpfulness, if you're not willing to pay the cost to help yourself, somebody else can. Why should I pay the cost if they're not even willing to do it for themselves? It all costs, man. You can probably afford way more than what you think. You're just not down to pay yourself. Maybe you should value yourself more. Thanks for tuning in. You know, all of you are probably way richer than you think. Start paying yourself for it. Start valuing what you got. Start taking care of it a little bit more. Help yourself. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledge what you might need help with. Identify a problem. Make an action plan to work out said problem, and then start to execute. Knowledge is useless if you don't apply it. So yeah, man, I wish you all to find all the abundance that you need and start to pay for whatever cost that you want to incur. But then don't incur a price on something that you ultimately end up not happy with. Because that's what something people do too. They think that they want something until they get it, and then they realize it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. So be careful. Pay into yourself. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to what you're doing. Take care of yourself. Take the value that you have, put it back into yourself. You know what I'm saying? Conduct your life, conduct yourself in a manner that will be benefit to a life that you, in a world that you want to create for yourself and invite other people into. If you want to holler at your boy, there's contact information on my page. I've been through a ton of life experience. I've seen a thing or two, as State Farm might say, or what is it? Is that Allstate? Whatever. One of the insurance companies. But I've seen a thing or two, I've been through a thing or two, and I know a little bit about a lot. You know, if you would think you might need outside perspective and mindset to help you kind of progress and go through things, for sure reach out to your boy if you're down to pay the cost. But on that note, Wages out.